all of those women from all over the world, and we all have different experience levels, different backgrounds, but we all come together for a common love of wrestling. Just like any show and any crowd, really. You're all there because you love wrestling, and so being around that was just remarkable. It's a feeling I can't even really express. It, it's empowering and amazing and nerve-wracking all at once. Mm-hmm. And the matches themselves, I adored my second round match with Abby Lace. She was a joy to be in the ring with. That was my first time ever facing her. And so she was Kimberly on the independent scene before she was hired by NXT. So I had always wanted to work with her, so that was awesome to cross that off my list. And, who did I take the most from? Gosh, that's very, very hard because, a name you mentioned earlier, Medusa was there. Mm-hmm. And so just getting to talk with her and be around her, that was when I met Lita for the first time. And that made me cry because it was such an amazing moment for me. And so there were incredible women around. Beth Phoenix was there, and Natalia was there, all women that I truly admire and look up to. And you take little things from each of those people, even if it's one person just saying, hey, go out there and truly, enjoy the moment. Not even something, hey, do this in your match, or, this is how you cut a good promo. No, just people saying, hey, this is a special moment. Really take that in, really enjoy it. And so that was, the coolest takeaway was now looking back on it, there will never be a first ever Mae Young Classic ever again. And I got to be a part of the first one. It was truly an honor.
It was definitely an interesting selection of talent, and with social media being so prominent now, and so many fans of independent wrestling, and everybody going, oh, this is my favorite female wrestler. This one, it just it brought together the internet wrestling community as a whole to see a lot of their local favorites all together wrestling under such a large banner being WWE. And like you said, it's never going to be another first show. Is there any rumors out there that this is something they're gonna do yearly?
Oh, you would know that before me, probably. I have no idea. I can say I truly hope that they do another one because, like you said, so many people are very passionate about women's wrestling and they have their favorites. And to bring 30 women from all over the world, it's incredible. And I think it should be done every year just because it's a platform that, some of those girls, they had never had TV exposure before. And so that makes it that much bigger of a deal for them. Mm-hmm. And that opens fans who have never seen some of those women, then they get to see them for the first time and then they can become invested in their journey, from there on out and go see them at a local show, or if they've been signed since then, they can, now back them on that journey that they're on. And that's what, that's what's so special about wrestling in general is once your eyes are open to new talent and, what's out there, you can become connected to them and see what this crazy journey of wrestling does for them. But I thought personally that was one of the coolest things. Mm-hmm. A lot of those girls I've never got to work with before. I never got to meet in person before. I had just seen their stuff. And so to witness live, their matches and just how the crowd took to them so easily, that's such a cool thing to see. That crowd was different than any crowd I've ever worked in front of. They had just a genuine joy and happiness that this event was happening, not even just that the matches were great. And, the production value, of course, is, nobody does it better. But they just were so thrilled that this moment was here and happening for all of us. Mm-hmm. And so I truly hope that happens again for another batch of girls.
Okay, I did have one more question for you, but I actually have to add one. Not a bad one, but it's kind of something that you mentioned about being a fan of Japanese wrestling. Now, you've wrestled in Japan in the past?
I have, yes. I just actually got home from a 1-month tour over there.
Okay, please explain to our listeners, because I've brought in a lot of talent that's worked in Japan. I've had Scott Norton in who's been working in Japan for 30 years. Recent indie talent that's worked in Japan. Just tell everybody the significant difference between working in front of a crowd in Japan compared to the States.
Yeah, so there is a very big difference, and I think it's in the noise level, right? And you can tell just by watching it on TV, but especially performing. So professional wrestling in Japan is more of a sport. It's very hard hitting, and the crowd views it as a sport, and they're, even outside of wrestling and sports, they're such a respectful culture. And so in the start of your match, it can be very, very quiet, but it isn't because they don't like the product you're putting out there. They're just intently watching and appreciating what you're doing. And, they definitely get up and cheer and clap for the big moments in the matches that they greatly appreciate. But they're more of a sit back and watch kind of crowd where, especially in the UK, it's all about chants. They have their soccer chants that they kind of translate into wrestling, and that's kind of translated here into the States as well. And so that's a vast difference. I think it's a lot more snug working-wise over in Japan for workers, so that's a big difference. But I think it's the best wrestling in the whole world, and I love it more than anything.
I heard the eating's really good, and the host families take really good care of you.
Yeah, so they're such a beautiful country. They really are. They're so welcoming. They're so kind. Just very giving, respectful people. And man, if you could taste the sushi over there, if you haven't, it's on another level. And the wonderful Korean barbecue, and even just little treats you can get at what they call konbinis, are just joys to have. And so I already miss eating over there, and I miss my second family that I met and connected with over there as well. So thankfully I get to go back later this year.
There you go. My final question before we get into the promotional part of this, and this kind of segues into what I was talking about, the Mae Young Classic and the possibility of there being a second one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, whether it's still be in wrestling or not?
Oh, gosh, of course it'll be in wrestling. I hope to be a part of wrestling in some form or fashion for my entire life. This is the love of my life. There's nothing I'd rather do. I live for this. Where I'll be in 5 years, man, that is so hard because I don't even know where I'll be by the end of this year. That's the tricky thing about wrestling is things change so much, but it's also one of the beautiful things. And, it takes you to all over the world, takes you to all sorts of random places you never would expect to be. And so I know I will be wrestling somewhere. I don't know if it will be for a certain company, if it will even be in the United States. I have no idea, but I will 110% be wrestling still in 5 years. I'm not that old, man.
No, definitely not. I mean, it wasn't really more of an age thing. It's just, I know people kind of give themselves a clock, whether biologically or otherwise, a certain amount of time in this business where they feel, all right, I'm going to try to accomplish as much as I can in this time period, and if I'm not at this certain point, then I got a backup plan. So I mean, I didn't know how you were looking at it.
Yeah, I definitely I don't have that mindset with it. When I fell in love with wrestling, I said I want to be a professional wrestler. It doesn't have to be a superstar or, for a certain company or under contract or not under contract. Man, as long as I can do it, I am the happiest person in the whole world. And so, as long as my body will let me do it and, I keep improving and love it this much, I'm going to do it till I can.
So when your dad told you when you were younger, one day I can't wait to walk you down that aisle, did you really think he meant wrestling or the other one?
Well, I definitely know he initially didn't want me to be a wrestler, so it was the other for sure. But now, hey, maybe he'll get to do both. He might not realize it, but
there you go. Okay, so let's bring in Richie. You still alive over there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Let's bring in Richie. RDP Promotions is bringing in Rachael Ellering for a couple of signings coming up in March. So I'll give you the platform to take it away.
You can come and see Rachael Ellering along with Brandy Rhodes, who's starting on March 10th at the big event in Queens, New York, at the LaGuardia Plaza Hotel from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And pre-sales be closing on March 7th, so you still got a little less than 2 weeks to pre-sale. The website is richiedeGregPromotions.weebly.com, and then later that night you can see Rachael Ellering in action in a three-way match between Tessa Blanchard and Warriors of Wrestling Women's Champion Nikki Adams at Warriors of Wrestling at Fun Station in Staten Island, New York, 3555 Victory Boulevard. But in Staten Island, the doors open at 7 for autographs, 8 p.m. bell time.
Okay. Also, you could get tickets for the big event at bigeventny.com, so you can get in the door, so you can get those autographs and photo ops and things for Rachael Ellering and Brandy Rhodes. And so, Rachel, is this something that you like? This, I mean, not that you. I'm not going to say no that you don't like, but is this something that you deeply enjoy, the fan interaction at these meet and greets and things like that?
Oh man, I love it. I love it. It has to be one of the coolest aspects of wrestling, especially for me, just because I was a wrestling fan first and foremost, and so I'm chatty Cathy, as you can tell. So I love meeting everybody, who's coming from all over the country, because it's an incredible event with, a who's who of wrestling, and Brandy being incredible and on a roll with so many things right now, and myself, I know that her and I will be fun to come and chat with. So I truly hope everybody comes, and, even if they just come and say hello, I always appreciate that, and hearing everybody's stories, whether they watched my dad or me on the Mae Young or my stuff from Japan or just the indies, I love just meeting everybody, and we all have that connection of loving wrestling, so it's just one of my favorite things.
Okay, now let me ask you this. We're gonna promote this match coming up March 10th. Warriors of Wrestling. Tickets at warriorsofwrestling.com. You're taking on the Warriors of Wrestling Women's Champion Nikki Adams and another pedigree, third generation star Tessa Blanchard. Maybe a couple of words for the champ and Miss Blanchard.
Well, so I'm very familiar with Tessa. I've wrestled her probably more than anybody in my whole entire career. And so we are very similar yet very, very different all at the same time. I know what she brings to the table. She knows what I bring to the table. However, we're both always evolving into our own person and, creating our own legacies. And that's something I really respect about her. I've never gotten a chance to meet or wrestle Nikki Adams, and so that will be a treat. And I always like coming home with a heavier bag. A little bit of gold never hurts. So I plan on leaving with the title, but either way, it'll be a great match. It'll be one that I think everybody's going to want to be there to see live.
Probably the match of the night, in my opinion.
Mine too.
I agree. I was about to say that she's really, really bad at talking trash, but then she just snuck in that going home with some extra weight in her bag, so I like it.
The silence was deadly.
I don't even talk too much trash. I just prefer to kick people in the face.
Amen to that.
Anytime during that weekend that you feel it necessary to kick Richie in the face, please let me know. I will make sure the cameras are rolling.
She will not do that.
Wonderful. I will keep that in mind.
She won't have to do that because I'm going to take great care of her.
Yeah, but she just for shits and giggles.
Because if I don't take good care of her, I'm going to have to hear from her dad, and her dad might kill me.
Yeah, that's probably right.
We both could maybe team up and kill him,
yeah,
but I think it'll be a smooth weekend. It'll be great, and again, I can't stress it enough. Everybody should be there live. At the convention, please come say hello, and it's going to be a match that you definitely don't want to miss.
I agree, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you jump on that opportunity to go to Big Event 14, LaGuardia Plaza Hotel in East Elmhurst, New York, better known as Queens. Don't know why they call it East Elmhurst, but anyway, go to bigeventny.com for tickets to get in, and then of course you can check out Richie and his guest Brandy Rhodes and Rachael Ellering at Big Event. Also later that evening at Warriors of Wrestling. Tickets to that show, warriorsofwrestling.com. That will be in Staten Island, New York, 3555 Victory Boulevard, and that's going to be a pretty awesome event. Anything else, Mr. RDP? Do you like to
No, we're good.